Hey Film Buffs, welcome back to Film Feature 43. Today we're going to do another 43 Facts video, this time stretching the gambit of Grinch films, starting with the 1966 animated film, then moving to the 2000s live action film, and finishing up with some facts about the Illuminations animation from 2018. So without further ado, let's get into talking about the facts. Dr. Seuss originally did not want Boris Karloff to do the narration or voice for the original Grinch in the animation because he thought his voice was a little bit too scary for children.
It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right.
On the flip side of that, Anthony Hopkins was partially chosen to do the narration in the 2000s film because of his role as Hannibal Lecter in Silence of the Lambs, a role in which he did all the narration for in just one day. Thor Ravencroft, who sang You're a Mean One for the TV special, was actually the voice of Tony the Tiger in the old Frosted Flakes commercials.
They're great!
And he wasn't given credit for singing in the animated film, which Dr. Seuss felt really bad about. So Seuss wrote to a lot of major columnists in America, giving credit to Ravencroft. Dr. Seuss passed away in 1991, which left his widow, Audrey Geisel, to choose what movies were made in his name, and she didn't want to do a live-action adaptation of How the Grinch Stole Christmas because Seuss, while he was alive, didn't like another live-action adaptation of one of his works called The 5,000 Fingers of Dr. T. But the Old Globe in San Diego put on a production of How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and that convinced Seuss's widow that a live-action adaptation could work. But there was a catch. Geisel got to veto anything she didn't want to see in the movie, which two things that are reported on is a non-Christmas celebrating family called the Whovilles and a giant stuffed head of the Cat in the Hat on the Grinch's lair wall, kind of alluding to the fact that he killed the Cat in the Hat, which she might not have objected to if she saw the 2003 film.
Oh.
That's my mom.
Awkward.
The makeup process to become the Grinch was a, let's just say, hurdle for Jim Carrey to overcome. It was a suit made of green dyed yak fur sewn into spandex, and it took 2 hours to apply and 1 hour to remove every single day. And Jim Carrey endured that for 92 days during production.
92 days of coming in the morning, sitting in the makeup chair, having somebody put glue on your face, and you know, a 2.5 hour process every morning.
The first time Carrey ever put on the suit to become the Grinch, he was so uncomfortable he kicked a hole in the makeup room wall. He likened it to being buried alive, and it was so torturous that he actually hired a torture expert from the CIA to help him get through it.
I had to be a Zen master. By the end of the project, you could have hit me in the face with a baseball bat and I would have gone, "Good morning, nice to see you."
Even though Jim got torture training from the experts, the yellow contacts that he had to wear to make his eyes yellow were still too much, and he often didn't wear them, making production change his eyes to be yellow in post-production. He would also randomly leave the set and come back and his suit would be in tatters, ruining the rest of the filming for the day, and his behavior became so erratic that Kuzo Hiro, one of the makeup artists, just quit, and the only way he would come back is if Ron Howard promised him that Jim would change the way he was acting.
I'm all toasty inside.
As a sign of appreciation for Carrey for going through the makeup process day in and day out, Ron Howard actually donned the makeup to direct one day, and when Carrey showed up to set, he didn't take it as a sign of appreciation because he didn't know it was Howard. He thought that production had hired a stuntman that looked nothing like himself, and he became very angry. But Carrey did return the favor to Howard as a joke. In the scene where the Grinch is directing Max to be like Rudolph, that is Jim Carrey poking fun at Ron Howard's directing style, which Howard loved and obviously kept in the film. Brilliant! Eddie Murphy showed up to the production of How the Grinch Stole Christmas in full Sherman Klump makeup because The Nutty Professor was being shot close by, so there's a picture out there of Jim Carrey in the full Grinch makeup and Eddie Murphy in the full Klump makeup. Carrey wasn't the only person to go through pain during the production of The Grinch. Jeffrey Tambor, who played the mayor, got gout, so every day of production was kind of agony for him as well. The Grinch suit wasn't the only costume for production. There were 3 people who made 250 sweaters in just 4 months for all the cast.
What would I wear?
Including 8 identical ones for the Grinch. And eagle-eyed viewers might notice that the last meal that Max eats in the movie during the Who feast is actually green eggs and ham, and the jewels in Martha Mayhew's hair while she's giving the Grinch's backstory is the same jewels that the Grinch put into the tree topper during that same backstory. Christine Baranski, who played Martha May, almost got to use her own nose as a Who because her nose looks so similar, which would have been nice for her because a lot of the Who's had to put straws up their nose through the prosthetics so they were able to breathe. And even though they went to school together in the flashback, Christine is actually 10 years older than Jim Carrey, and Mayor Jeffrey Tambor is actually 18 years older than Carrey. And a few numerical prop facts for you: 8,000 ornaments and 1,983 candy canes were used as set decoration on How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and 152,000 pounds of crushed marble was used as the snow throughout Whoville. About 6 miles of styrofoam was used to build the buildings and sets around Whoville, but not everything was practically done. About 40,000 computer-generated trees were created in post-production for the opening scene of the movie. But in the real world, Whoville was on a Universal Studios backlot behind the Bates Motel, and during breaks, Jim Carrey would brandish a knife and wear a dress, chasing tourists around the Bates Motel to scare them. And his impulsive behavior also carried over to the film in the scene where the Grinch pulls the sheet out and everything stays. Everything was supposed to fly off the table, and when it didn't, Jim Carrey used his improv skills to go up and knock everything off, which remains in the movie. And some post-production facts for How the Grinch Stole Christmas: it was the highest grossing movie in the year 2000, and in conjunction with the United States Postal Service, Universal Studios had a postmark made that said Happy Holidays that the USPS could use to postmark everyone's mail.
Jury duty, jury duty, jury duty, blackmail, pink slip, chain letter, eviction notice, jury duty,
And the Queen herself, Queen Elizabeth, went to the premiere in London of How the Grinch Stole Christmas for charity. And a few facts to wrap up the video about the 2018 Illumination, the movie The Grinch. Benedict Cumberbatch was asked to use his real British accent for the Grinch.
No, that wasn't.
I think we got everything we need.
No, that was just me. I wasn't reading it. That was just me talking. That's my actual voice.
But he didn't feel comfortable doing that because everybody else in the cast was American. Cumberbatch is actually the second Brit to play the Grinch behind Boris Karloff, and following that horror tradition, Brad Dourif, who plays Chucky, was supposed to be the narrator in the 2018 film, but he was later replaced with Pharrell Williams. So that's all the facts I have on all 3 of the major Grinch movies that have come out so far. If there's any movie you want to see me cover on this list, let me know down below. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.